Hey guys! Well, I've been hamming and hawing over doing this video for days now, and it's a really gloomy and horrible afternoon. So I thought I'd give it a go and make it just about 100% shorter than it was before. Because I did one yesterday, but the sound wasn't good, and I'll just give it another go, yeah. Okay, right, so this is the Tate Gallery. It's on Millbank, district of London, which is down by the Thames, down by Vauxhall Bridge, in the southwest of London, coming up towards Westminster. In fact, the Houses of Parliament are on the end of Millbank, and the Tate Gallery is built on the site of a former prison, the National London Penitentiary, and here it is, Millbank Prison. And what really alerted me to this initially was its shape, because I've been interested in starforts. I investigated the Bentham prison on Portland because I think that was quite possibly a starfort, and I believe this was probably one as well. I think that the ground had been left to sheep and trees and mills and the occasional house being put up, and had been generally been neglected, and in the clear up somebody had the bright idea of building a prison on there, just sort of like utilising the space that was already there. And it's got this sort of like really cool star shape. This is you can see from here how it's raised up as well. They had to raise it up. They had a hell of a job building it. The philosopher Jeremy Bentham conceived of a plan to build something called a panopticon. So basically a panopticon is a prison that's got like an observing tower at some point, so that only one guard need be used. So if you have like blocks here, you can have one guard sort of viewing the whole lot. And he invested a lot of money into buying the land from some, I think it was the Earl of Salisbury. I can get Wiki out and check it. And this is a view of the internal part of it, and very austere it looks too, doesn't it? But you can see here it's on a very solid concrete base, because it was built on a marshy land, and they had terrible problems with it from the start. So here's the original piece of land, but in all honesty this could be anywhere, couldn't it? This could be any windmill on any piece of land anywhere, but they're saying it's Milbank, and they're saying this is the original mill. Now there were a lot of mills about, weren't there? So we'll just leave this for a second and have a look at Google Earth. So here's the Thames. Let's go in a little bit, and this is where we are. So Westminster's here, and we're here. So in we go. God, people at the door. Let's move down a bit. So here's Milbank. Milbank there, going round the edge of the Thames here, and this here, it was the site of the prison. Here's the Tate. Let's get the 3D on, and you get like nice little view round of it. So it occupied this part here, and this was the burial ground here, which is now Milbank Gardens. Apparently all these houses here to the front are built out of brick from the original prison. Yeah. Okay, let's switch it round to its original position. So I just had to restart Google Earth because it's done some totally major glitching. It's probably going to do it again. It's doing all this circle thing, but everything's gone tiny. Look how small everything is. So if I want to do 2D, it's like barely visible. So I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyway, I won't mess around with it too much, but here's the area. It won't even put up the street names or anything. So here's our area, and I have here, like, this is how it was when the prison was there. So you've got the bridge, this little road going around here, same here, these buildings here, and they're here as well, still same streets, and then you have the Tate here, and here you'd have that front bit of Milbank Prison. And I've got some photos in a folder as well that are quite interesting. This is a more detailed map, and you can see that at some point it was had these two gaswork buildings here, so I suppose that's like to the northwest, and another one on this side here. Right, here we go. I think the screen capture thing makes it run slower as well. So here it is, and there seems to be a lot more going on in this picture as well. There's a lot more detail, and in this area up here, which is now a street called John Islip Street, is part of the moat remaining, and I found it as well on my travels, so we'll see that. So I'll have a look at some of the things I saved. Here it is again. So the guy who had the vision for Milbank, Jeremy Bentham, wanted a panopticon, a round sort of thing where you could go in the middle. Anyway, it all fell through, and then in about 1812 it all kicked off again. I better get the names of the people involved. This is quite a good article, this one. So here's the Tate, more of that anon, and here's Milbank, place of dread and great suffering. So they built this thing up off the mud because it was basically a complete like bog. It was mud, it was crap, and they were hell bent on building this prison there. So they were hell bent on having this style, and they held a competition to pick the best design. I think they have 43 entries, and William Williams of the drawing school, Cambridge Drawing Master, he won it. But I think they may have been given a remit as well. I mean, this is just me inferring things, but I've seen other examples where they're given a remit, an idea of what they want it to look like. So they two architects left, and then a third one was brought in called, quite appropriately I thought, Robert Smirk, and he was poured all concrete in, raised it, and built the prison on it. But it was just plagued with problems from the start. Here's Jeremy Bentham. He was a very sort of like philanthropical chap, which a lot of these people seem to have been. And here's his design for the panopticon, taking its name from the Greek for all-seeing, and described by Bentham as a mill for grinding rogues honest. So he had this sort of like humanitarian sort of vision, but he thought if people were being watched all the time, they'd behave themselves. Well, works for us, doesn't it? Right, so here's another picture of Milbank back in the day. Talks about Benton's scheme. Yeah, William Williams, military man. Oh, Sandhurst. Right, so here's Robert Smirk. He also ended up doing the British Museum as well, so he was a bit of an over-the-top sort of bloke. So he laid a large concrete raft into the sodden ground, and it cost a absolute shitload of money, £500,000, which is a lot back then. Okay, and it was made from Scottish Cholera stone, and I've had a look and I haven't been able to find anything about Cholera stone. Maybe somebody else might be able to. Right, here's one of the gasometers. That's strange because there were two here as well. They're no longer there. Ponsonby Place, Ponsonby Terrace, and here on the corner of Ponsonby Terrace there's a pub called the Morpeth Arms, which was there when this was open, and it's got like a whole load of vaults underneath, like crypts and strange, and they're saying it's the cells from here, but I strongly suspect that the whole place is riddled with stuff like that, and it's just a little bit of a novelty to get people in the pub. So the illustrated paper in October 1865 said, if the ground plan of the building at Milbank is a geometric puzzle, the interior is assuredly an eccentric maze, long, dark and narrow corridors and twisting passages in which the visitor unaccustomed to the dubious twilight has to feel his way, double locked doors opening at all sorts of queer angles. So it sounds like a little bit of a house that Jack built. So steep and narrow are these stone staircases. They are not unlike the devious steps by which the traveller reaches the towers of Strasbourg. A bit like that. Anyway, I have got something else a little bit interesting, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to find it. So they all got very ill. They all got cholera, malaria, dysentery, scurvy. I mean, why the hell did they build it there in the first place? The two chief sources of disease incident to man are marsh miasma and human effluvia. In the penitentiary, these sources are not only combined but concentrated. It is seated in a marsh beneath the bed of the river, through which, I mean, why build it there? And I think it was because most of it was probably already there and they just took it over. So a lot of these pictures here, like this is an illustration, and this will be to the back. Here's the graveyard, because there's Westminster in the distance, and this is the chain room, so lots of torture going on. There's a dummy they'd stick him. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's see if I can find, if I bookmarked it. No. Oh, it's a shame. I should have bookmarked it. That's daft. I have to quickly see if I can find it. Millbank, Daily Mail, photos, prisoners. This is a very sort of like wide search because it'd be good for you to see it. I did have it all saved up yesterday, but I closed everything down. Yeah, that might be it. No. Well, It's a shame. Well, if I should find it, I'll put it up separately on a different post, because basically it's photographs from 1850, mugshots of prisoners. So the prison governors were actually taking photographs back then of prisoners for their logs and photocopying them by the look of it. Right, so what I'm going to do here is play the rest of my video for you and talk you through it a bit. So here I am, and here's Milbank in the distance here. These houses weren't here. The Tate wasn't here back then, obviously. This is all built on the site of it. So it was all knocked down in 1890. That was when they decided that Milbank had enough. They'd had enough of it. I think in the 1830s they reduced its status from being like one for special prisoners to being one for deportees. So it was primarily for people to go to Australia. That's the MI6 building. I thought maybe they might be creating people with that smoke coming out of there. There's a huge machinery there. I don't know what was going on. And here's this little temple. It's like a little sun temple they got here, a little pagan temple. And it looks, hang on, I'll pause it. It looks as if they might actually be doing something over there. I can't quite make it out. I'm pretty sure they do something over there. It just seems such a strange place to have such a dainty little temple. It's got a hole in the roof as well. And here was the sky that day. I actually came out to do some filming so that I could ground myself and get my head out of the sky. Right. So this next little bit here, I looked over and saw these angels. These huge statues that are just stuck on the side of Vauxhall Bridge. The Victorians again, away with engineering and stuff. But apparently they rebuilt the bridge and they were under budget, so instead of, paying for accommodation for the poor or education for the poor or something like that, they commissioned 8 sort of like huge, great big, I think it's 6 or 8 kick-ass mega bronze statues and stuck them on the side of Vauxhall Bridge where nobody ever sees them. And I'm going to actually do a video about them because they're interesting. I'll turn the video up for this. Will feature in my video. It's allegedly built for the prison officers at the prison, and is now used quite extensively by MI6. But these are all basemented, all these houses here, including the moat, and they claim to have cells from the old prison underneath, which I find a bit strange, seeing as the prison was more that way. This place here, Ponsonby Place, existed, and then the prison sort of started more over here. So yeah, but there's some interesting stuff at the back of the place allegedly, so I'm going to have to see if I can get over the road and have... So basically I'm now pretty much on the site of the old Millbank Prison. These houses are all basemented around here. I'm actually not on the site of the Millbank Prison here. These are houses that were there at the time. This was there at the time. So this must have been built, well, they're saying 1845. Oh, it's a look we're all familiar with. Looks a bit like my house. The red brick. That's all been sort of like stuccoed over or something. Had that veneery stuff put on and painted. like this here, they're not real blocks, that's like this new pretend stuff they put on, I think. It might be, don't know. Actually, as if these are original, they may well be. I'm gonna have to go and have another look. Stop looking at the sky, Jackie. I don't do it too much. Okay, so these are quite deep under the ground, these here, and this is quite an extensive little block here, along here, clean and tidy, all been built. This is all new ish. And here, so this was built after the prison was down. And here's a Tate. Right, I'll put the sound back on. According to English history, it was built in 1897 after knocking down the Millbank Prison, which I believe is the structure underneath. This here, this stone stuff. Yeah? Right. I mean, I may be completely wrong, but this looks to me like very, very similar to the prison stonework on the prison at Verne. The other thing I meant to say I forgot earlier was about the starfort thing. Watching Newearths' video, she suggests that they were power stations, supplying power to local buildings of or whatever of importance. And of course the Houses of Parliament are just literally sort of behind that skyscraper up there. So I'll come out here and the Houses of Parliament are up the road there. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that this was the site of a starfort type power station, which was mudded and left to deteriorate, and then they built a prison on it, which failed miserably. I mean, it was awful from the start. I mean, it just lost money hand over fist, tore it down, and then built all this lot on its footprint. And they're all very important buildings here, all around Milbank. We've got like some, this was originally, this lot here, military college. We've got this massive gallery, which has got a little bit of an odd history as well. It was founded and built by Henry Tate, the sugar baron. Tate and Lyle sugar cubes, and they made his fortune, and he was like uber rich. But I mean, look at it, and it only took 4 years to build. It's another one of those magic buildings. I tell you, sometimes I think they just come out. I think they just come out of the ground. It's just crazy. Look at it. But this brickwork is very similar to the Verne Prison's brickwork and other prisons that I've seen. It just got a feel of a prison to it, or a fort. All that lot over there is 100-year-old fancy stuff, apparently. Not just over 100 years. So I go in here and I have a little look about. Look at the stone here. This is proper stone. That there. I think, I'm not sure about all this stuff up here. Maybe less so. I was actually going around tapping the walls in this place. Right. Okay. So this is all the underground bit. Probably the old prison. I want to show you the central hall. I don't want my film to run out. This place is massive. It's such a waste of space. I know you need space to display things, but I mean, look, it's just a waste of space. This stuff here is pre-Raphaelite poster. Okay, well Alright, so that's the front door. So we're inside. Now this was built. I'm sorry. This was built in 1897. I shouldn't laugh really, should I? It took 4 years to build. Sorry, it wasn't built in 1897. It was opened by Queen Victoria. So, Diamond Jubilee. They're not real. I'll take that back. A bloody pyramid. That's stuff where they put the lines in. Yeah, so I was looking here because they put like a conglomerate thing on the top and then put lines across to make it look real. So they'll be like concrete or something with metal, all this be metal, probably all steel. Apologies to people who like it. Oh right, there's a little interlude here while I look at a painting that is a bit of a favourite of mine. I found it. It's by Richard Dadd. It's called The Fairy Fellow's Master Stroke, and he was obviously off his head when he did this. It is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Queen even wrote a song about it. This is a detail. Apparently he was obsessed with Osiris after going to Egypt. Painted this after killing his father, but and ended up in a madhouse, but there's like all sorts of strange stuff in here. It's a wonderful thing. So glad I found it. I was in here earlier, I just walked straight past the little gnome man in there. The little gnome man. This is on the internet. There's a lot of stuff about it on the internet. It's incredible. I'm going to turn this off and look at it. Oh right, yeah. I also did this because this is called the deluge. So we've got like people climbing for their lives and people sinking in the mud and water falling over and things happening over here and things getting inundated, but it's one of those stark sort of modern ones. Okay, I got lost looking for the toilet. Alright, so I'm underneath again here. This is obviously, if you look at the crypt, it's crypt. Yeah? This is probably from under the prison. It's just all prison or power station or starfort. Little cafes off to the side, sort of site timelines. It's all been like turned into a theme park as ever. The whole of London's bloody theme park. Archive gallery, sort of eatery. This is obviously underground here as well, so I'm saying this is. No, it didn't sound very solid. I think some of it is real and some of it is just like nobody cares. Everybody ignored me. Everybody was ignoring me. I think they thought I was health and safety. I don't know, I might be wrong. I mean, part of me thinks that they were just taking down temples, a little much like they did with London Bridge, taking them down, numbering the blocks, making sure that everything was designed so that they could just re-erect it wherever they decided to put it back up. It's all there already done, isn't it? It's like a good to go little kit. And sometimes it's so well made and so cleaned up, and this has been extensively renovated recently as well, the Tate. They're always tarting it up. It could be.
Very interesting. Right, I'm going to go out. Thank you. Swirly door. And out.
So
These are more like it. These are more the real deal. Metal clips. And here you can see some of the stonework.
let's just take that back a little bit. There. Looks like there's metal in there, doesn't there? This has all come off here, exposing it all underneath. Yeah, quite clear there.
Lots of ice underneath. Just me criticising the Tate Gallery. Yeah, right, there's something I want to find. I'm going to
So here's the steps going down. It's quite a height.
see if I can find it. It's round the back.
It's quite a height up, isn't it? The ground floor. This is how high the concrete thingy was. The concrete raft that the guy put in, Mr. Smirk. Okay, right. So I found it. This is the old moat, or whatever it was. That was originally part of the original prison or starfort or power station or whatever. And here's one of the houses that are built out of the old bricks. Now, considering these bricks are 200 years old, this is amazing stuff, isn't it? I mean, it's just incredible. There's something about these bricks, man, I'm telling you.
Found the bit that I'm looking for. This here was allegedly what remains of the moat of.
And I got another picture of the moat here. I think this is some slightly different angle, if it's from the other end or not. Yeah, but it's definitely goes up, definitely.
Large slabs. The Tate is over there, behind this building here. So I don't quite know how this place worked. So I don't even know where I am.
Yeah, well, I can sort of work that out now, because we've got here is the back of the Tate here. Down here is that Ponsonby place with the pub on the corner, and that goes through here. This is the building I was looking at, so that moatage bit is there, and it also looks to me like it goes around here. And I do have a plan as well. Oh, I can do it from here. Of the prisons it was.
Taking too long. Can't be bothered. Okay, where is it? God, it's been a really sort of strange sort of day. Horrible weather here. Got my cat keeping company here. And on this one, if it ever loads, you can see the gasworks. I do think it's just the screen captures it down. Here it is. Yeah, so Ponsonby Place, and the edge of that moat goes off up here. Gaswork thing, burial ground. This is like an early plan for the Tate. Here's the proposed Tate Gallery, and this is all a whole load of frontage that was there, and a lot of this came away in the Thames flood of 1928. Now, I didn't know there was a flood in 1928, but it absolutely, I'm going to do a video about it, because it may account for some of the buried buildings, but it may account for these ones around here that are mud flooded, and maybe the ones further down as well that are mud flooded. It may, you know, because it was quite bad. Apparently the moat on the Tower of London filled up with water. It was just really bad. People died. Somebody died of shock, had a heart attack, because it was just so scary. What else did I want to show you here? Oh yeah, the same sort of vein as the 1863 photograph of the prisoners. I found this. Now, I'm guessing they might have taken this from a balloon. Obviously they must have taken it from a balloon, and I've so it's got to be pre-1890, and you can see here where it's actually raised up. So here you've got like the plan, and this isn't actually one that's very trustworthy, because it was copied from a model by the clerk of the works, so it's a copy anyway. Here's like, here it is, and here it is. So I did a little thingy, edit, and sharpened it up a bit, because you can really see how it's up on a mound here. You can really see it. And same here. It's up. You can see these are the houses down here, so you can see how this is higher up, elevated up, and I can see there's a bit of a fisheye aspect to this lens, but not sufficient to raise this up. You can see how much higher. This is high at the tops here as these gas things, and they can go pretty high, can't they? So yeah, it's raised up. So what is under that? Yeah. So that's about it really. I think the old Millbank Prison may well have been a little starfort stroke power station that was let run down. I mean, look at these of the Tate. I mean, I don't even know when this was taken. I mean, these pictures here, there's a couple here as well, and it looks like it's been there forever, even when it was just built. So it was built in 1897. I doubt if these photographs are much later than that. That might be a bit